right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the laser.
Your
Technology major.
Okay, I did my research project on technology instruction to improve Spanish pronunciation. The problem that I found is every student going through the middle school is asked to take an elective class, and one of those classes is Spanish. During that program, what happens is what students should be able to say as far as pronunciation and what they can actually say is a big difference. The gap lies in what they're actually saying in the classroom, how they're pronouncing words and what kind of comprehensibility they can perform with versus how they could actually be pronouncing in the language. So my audience is 7th grade cycle students. I have them for a 45-day period. I chose 2 groups to work with. One was a control group of 25 students, and one was my intervention group of 49 students, which was broken down into 3 different classes of 7th graders that I have. The solution through my idea is through explicit instruction in the classroom and using 2 different learning theories, Vygotsky's principles of socio-cultural theory, sorry, I can't say that, which talks about how you need to find meaning in words to actually be able to retain them and use them, and cognitive theory, which discusses how you need to be able to connect with why something is important in order to be able to make meaning of it. Both relates to how being able to pronounce words properly to get your point across is going to affect what you're saying. I proposed to increase beginning 7th grade students' fluency, thus improving their communication skills. So my results were actually really, really cool. I was pretty excited with how they turned out. They all started taking the same pre-assessment evaluation, which was a written dialogue script with information we were going to be learning throughout the marking period, where they called in using a pronunciation rubric that was the same throughout the whole assessment, pre and post. They were evaluated based on their skill in being able to pronounce properly. They all ended up with about a 35% ability in the beginning, meaning pretty much you wouldn't be able to understand what they were saying at all. Then I implemented my interventions, which were explicit instruction in the classroom, using technology tools to aid with feedback, with hearing the sounds over and over, with pronunciation of phonetics and placement of the tongue in the mouth and the air pressure you're supposed to have when you actually speak in the language. And at the end, I had them take their post-assessment test, which was another speaking assessment using the same rubric to record and pronounce what they were saying. The control group, which was 25 students, did improve, of course, just through regular instruction in the classroom. They improved to about an average of 72, which was, 25% overall. But my experimental group went up 155% over the control group, which actually doubled what the percent ratio was as far as their understandability. My reflections. It really, really was absolutely amazing to hear the difference between listening to the control group with what they would say in the classroom and how they would speak on their assessments versus what you could see and hear with the intervention group and how their pronunciation changed and how it increased their drive and their motivation to speak in the language because they were excited, they felt like they knew what they were saying, so they actually wanted to speak more. If I was going to, and I am going to continue doing this with all of my classes in the future since it seems to work out really well, what I would like to do is be able to have more computer time allotted for them to work with because they had 1 day a week in the computer lab to use different technology tools so they could hear how the song should be said and to practice and reflect on that. So I would like them to have more time in an ideal world when we have enough computers in the classrooms that would work, maybe with more BYOD device technology available in school where kids have more access to the technology that can be done my biggest and happiest aha surprise moment was pretty much just listening to the increased motivation of the students in the experimental group, that as they were speaking, hearing them be so confident that they would volunteer to participate more, and they wanted to have dialogues in front of the class, and they were fighting over who got to present first because they were actually excited versus the control group that was like, no, I don't know what I'm saying, I'm just gonna sit back here and watch everybody else. So that's me in my 4 minutes. At the very end, I put a link to my Google site, which has all of my interventions and some of my student samples, which